So, while we wait for everybody to join, I'm just going to go into the pages and share the link, as long as I know Facebook actually does work. Here it is. Okay. I will be right with you whilst people are joining. I hope they're going to join anyway. Although obviously it's entirely up to them. If I could share as myself, it would be ideal. So, is there anybody out there? Is anybody going to say hi? Or are they not? If you could also advise me, obviously, of the video quality and sound quality, I would be very grateful. This is actually my first live stream from this particular page. And I think it's coming at quite an important time, simply because of the fact that obviously we are now on day 7, I believe, of the lockdown which the government has imposed due to the coronavirus, and I think it is extremely important right now to be able to share our experiences in a way, yes, obviously, but also maybe the main thing would be to be able to share in what is really necessary, and what is really necessary in a period like this is obviously to keep as healthy as possible. Obviously, I'm hoping that everybody is following the government directives, that they are not going out at all if possible. Please do keep off the streets, keep away from other people. This is not a nasty thing to say, it is simply a question of safeguarding your own health. Your health is the most important, simply because of the fact that we are responsible for ourselves, yes, but we are also very responsible for our next of kin, the people that we care about, the people that we say we care about. I believe that it is important at this moment to show exactly how much you do care, and to care is actually to stay away from people right now. Hard to do, I realise that. I have family and friends all over the place, as you know, and it's difficult for me to stay away from them as well. However, it is important to do so. It's vital to do so. And the reason why it is important is simply because everywhere, especially those who have been watching the news, who have been following the news overseas, especially in places where, like Italy, has been hit devastatingly so, keeping alive it's one of the most important things to do. So we are looking at meditation today. Meditation is simply a way of looking after our mind's well-being. If our mind is in a well-being state, our physical body is less or is more residual to any disease as well. Simply because of, and it's simply a question of vibrations. Vibrations are probably one of the most important things that most people don't realize. Most people realize these days, and yes, we are indeed made of energy. We like I said, we are made of energy, and therefore we must increase, or better, we must maintain a level of energy which allows us not to fall into a state of dis-ease. And if you think of it and put the two words together, disease is actually what the virus is. It's a disease. It's something which is not right within us. And I guess that spiritually speaking, you could probably look at this as an occasion to grow, as a time to stand down from everyday life and take a good look around you and realize exactly what is going on. And like I said, as we are made of energy, obviously every energy has a vibration, and each vibration is given by the total sum of that person, if you like. So their words, their actions, their thoughts are what actually influences their vibration as well. So why meditation? Meditation, as I said, it's simply a way of controlling, of bringing that vibration up as well, or at least in the way that it is intended. And obviously there are a lot of different types of vibrations. Most of all, obviously, as human being, we must realize that everybody's vibration is and must be different in order for us to actually realize that we are, shall we say, individuals, even though part of something greater. Now, as we look into this, we also realize that a vibration, in order to grow, must have a starting point. Okay, and though, as some of you might know, I have followed quite a varied spiritual path and have learned a lot of different things from a lot of different people, really. Some who have been just people I've met along the way, some who have been a great influence in my life as well. And it is with them that I've done some of the most important meditations in my life, the ones which have actually brought me forward. But it is also through them that I've learned some particular methods as well. Some of those methods, obviously, I want to share with you. Now, before we go into the meditation side of it itself, let's look at a few different things. Obviously, okay, let's look at the basics. Let's look at our clothing. As you can see, I'm dressed quite casually. Most people might say the wrong way, simply because of the fact that at the moment I seem to be advertising a bottle of a particular brand of whiskey, which has been around for quite a few years, and most of you probably know. That is not actually the point. The point is I'm actually dressed, you can't see it obviously, if I raise my legs you can see that I'm also wearing a tracksuit. I'm actually dressed wearing the same material throughout. This is important because of the fact that obviously if you're wearing different materials, they vibrate and they give off different vibrations, and therefore they can produce two different results if you are wearing mismatched materials. A material, if you like, would be the ideal thing. Also, your position, should we say. It doesn't actually matter in which position you sit, stand, or lay, to be honest. The most important thing whilst you're meditating is that you are comfortable enough to be at ease, but not so comfortable that you might fall asleep. This is something that happens quite often, especially as you are beginning, so don't worry if this should actually happen. Let's look a little bit further into it. Okay, so sitting position is a classic position that you will see most people who are at an advanced level of meditation would be either in the half lotus, which is the same position as I am using now, or a lotus position, which is when your legs are actually fully crossed. Due to my own laziness, because of the fact that I haven't done it for years and years and years now, I've actually lost the ability to do so. But it is something that willingly somebody could actually train themselves for. It is not the most comfortable position to be in initially, but it is something that can benefit simply on a energy flow kind of system. However, like I said, this is not the most important thing. The most important thing for you right now is to actually be comfortable whilst you are following this meditations, or these meditations, sorry. Okay, so what else do we need to know? Obviously, the breathing side of it is going to be extremely important for you as well, which is why we need to speak or open a small parenthesis or a small bracket for some of you on breathing exercises in themselves. Now, there are different schools of thought as to which breathing exercise you should be using. Personally, I don't actually know which particular type of breathing I do use. I can tell you, however, that, as I said, personally, I can go into a deep state of meditation, and therefore I am no longer aware of where the breathing comes from. However, in my control state, which is what the meditation brings to, the breathing goes down to a simple breathing from the navel. So basically using your what is known as your diaphragm for breathing, simply because of the fact that this is the most natural way of breathing. If you look at a small child, and by small child I mean a newborn, you will find that their breathing is actually done through the stomach, through the tummy. The reason why is because of the fact that this is the most comfortable and the most perfect way of actually breathing. It's not until later when they develop the ability to understand that by adding volume to their breathing or to their crying can then attract attention, then they tend to use their lungs, which is actually how most of us actually breathe. We all tend to breathe through the top of our lungs, therefore limiting actually the vibration whilst meditating that we can actually achieve to, simply because of if you are breathing just through your lungs, basically your meditation is working somewhere between up here and about down here, whilst really and truly we would like it to be working from up here to about down here. And that is obviously very important. In order to control our breathing, in order to go into our breathing, we then go into some basic exercises. There is a basic exercise which I looked into a long time ago, which is a good way of actually getting rid of surplus energy or negative energy, including anger, which is not something that we really want to go into a meditation with. Now, I can understand that a lot of people might well be feeling anxious, they are feeling angry even at the situation which has happened, and some might say quite rightly so. I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, this is something which has happened. I don't want to publicly just yet discuss why I think this has happened, or what is behind it. This is something that maybe I will look into another live feed. However, I do believe that it is important that we look at our breathing again. Obviously, with everything else which is happening outside, our breathing is going to be quite an important and essential part of what we do out there. And by breathing properly, if you like, you will find that your lungs can rest more, and obviously that your own capability of maintaining a calm state actually is then multiplied. This is simply because of the fact that when your body is at rest, then you are at rest as well. Now, the next stage obviously is going to be a couple of tips, simply because of the fact that I've been meditating, I've been teaching how to meditate for a very long time, and there are problems which I know that obviously most people will face. Some of those problems are going to be to do with finding a comfortable position. Some of them are going to be with their breathing, and some of them are going to be with keeping their attention span. The latter one being probably the most difficult to master, yet there are ways of actually doing so, and I will teach you this maybe in this lesson, maybe in a later lesson, I'm not sure yet. I am a little bit disorganized in this event. Having said that, it is not something that I had anticipated, simply because of the fact that to begin with I was going to create a meditation course, but only for advanced users, simply because of the fact that for those of you who are aware, this particular moment, this particular time asks for a particular energy, and it is the responsibility of those people who are more advanced upon their spiritual path to actually make sure that that vibration is kept and maintained at its highest. This is not a selfish thing that they do, it's actually quite a benevolent thing they do, and they do so freely, and because of the fact that they are in the understanding maybe, then it is their moral duty to do so as well. So these are the people who are working behind the scenes, which very few people are aware of, and they are probably the hardest working people at the moment, except for obviously those people who are frontliners, who are putting themselves at risk every day. To those, obviously, a big thank you and a big thumbs up, simply because of the fact that they are doing something very, very dangerous at the moment. I don't know if you've had a look at the recent figures and what our PM has said. Things will get worse before they get better, which is why it's even more important to actually have something that we can rely on, something that will keep us going throughout. Pat is just telling me she's getting freezes. Is anybody else getting freeze or voice blocks? If so, I might try and go into my data connection. I'm actually working off the Wi-Fi at the moment, which I would have thought would have been the more stable connection. Having said that, if you are having problems, if you could let me know, I will then switch to my data. As I was saying, this is a very important moment for all of us, and because of this, it's important that we continue to increase and maintain that vibration which is optimal for us. Now, how do we do this? There are obviously a lot of different types of okay, cool. It's okay. I'm just reading some of the messages which are coming up. Some people are having difficulty with their connection. Not unusual. Like I was saying, there are different types of meditations, and we could actually look into, and basically they are more or less divided into three categories. There is what you call free meditation, which is something that I would not advise for a beginner unless they have a certain inclination to do so. Simply because of the fact that free meditation can bring about what most people recognize, or most people who have actually worked with meditation have actually recognized as being the spiritual ego, as in it lets you fall into your spiritual awareness, yes, but it gives you a sense of being above other people. Now, if there is one thing that I've learned in many, many years as a holistic teacher, as a practitioner, and as somebody who has started to meditate since a very, very young age, this is something that we don't want to do. We don't want to do simply because of the fact that no one person is above anybody else. Now, though I may be, as I just said, a teacher, I might be a holistic practitioner, this doesn't actually make me any better than anybody out there. And I want to specify this simply because of the fact that there is nobody who is any better than another. There are maybe some people who might take priority in certain things, but there is nobody who is better than anybody else. And the reason why I am able, or why I can actually share this experience with you, is because of the fact that I've been doing it for a long time. And like I was saying, there are three different types of meditation. The first one being the free one. The second one is a guided meditation. Now, a guided meditation would usually be something that would be led, as in for where some music might be put on in order to create a certain atmosphere, and then the people who are participating would be led by simply listening to what is being said, and visualizing what is being said by the same person. This is obviously one of the easiest types of meditation, which is something that I will look into, and there are a couple of really, really good ones, which somebody who keeps coming in and out of this video conversation actually taught me. My dear friend Pat. These are meditations which I've learned a long time ago whilst I was attending classes which Pat was running at the time in her home in Harlow back then. One of them is the Medicine Walk, and there is a similar one which we will be doing. There is also another meditation which is a guided meditation, which will probably be my first, in fact it will be my first meditation, which I will lead you into, Sorry, I was frozen reading the message that time. It wasn't the camera which was frozen. Um, like I said, it is something that it is quite quintessential in the sense that the first meditation which I would like to lead you in is a simple exercise, even though it does come as a meditation. It's not actually quite a meditation, but it's something that will give you an outlook into your own psyche at the moment, or rather where you're at the moment. It's a good way of actually getting to know yourself, if you like, initially, or at least where we are right now. One of the things that you should be aware of is obviously is the fact that as we go through this, I would imagine, I would expect that most of you will enhance as you go along, and therefore you will bring about changes which will actually change some of your attitudes and the things that you view, the perspective that you use in order to view things. If you do so, then obviously this meditation will be no longer valid tomorrow. In fact, it will be no longer valid tonight. It will be no longer valid the next day, and it wouldn't have been what you would actually have achieved today. Why? Because of the fact that as beings we are in constant evolution, and as beings in evolution, obviously we are forever changing. As my good friend John, who I know is watching out there, once said, it is true that as a core we remain the same people, but as individuals we are in constant growth, in constant evolution, and therefore who we might have been 10, 20, 30 years ago still remains the same as a core. What we are now is quite different. And for those of you who are watching and did know me 20, 30 years ago, you will find quite a different person in front of you. Simply because life changes. Life changes all of us. This very period is here to change us all. How we will come out, that is entirely down to us. Yes, it's true. We will need the help of others. We will need the help of our governments, of our politicians, as much as I hate to say this, even our churches, simply because of the fact that they are the ones who are said to be helping us. The reality, as most of you probably already have guessed, is that it will be you and I who will be rolling up our sleeves and rebuilding what's left afterwards. In time for what? We shall see. We shall see. Anyway, going back to the meditations and the meditation types, there is also something else that we should acknowledge, which is a third type of meditation. That meditation is the one that is most used in the Eastern countries, which uses meditation, which uses visualization, which uses mantras and uses mudras. Now, visualization is something that it's an image that you create into your mind. A mudra is the position of your hands, simply put. It's where you place your hands creates a different vibration within you. And therefore, by placing your hands in a particular way, you can achieve a certain vibration, or you can receive a certain vibration which you might not be able to if your hands were in another position. The mantra is usually a sacred phrase which gets repeated several times. For those of you who follow Buddhist tradition will know that this is actually 108 times, and that it's, even though it can be counted without a mala, it's usually counted upon a mala. A mala, it's simply, as you can see, one of these, and it's made of 108 beads plus what they call the master bead. The master bead is something that, even though I'm doing right now, you should never actually touch. The master bead is considered to be the teacher, and therefore it is never touched during a meditation. 108 times. Why? If you look at the numerology behind it, 108 is 1 plus 0 plus 8, which makes 9, and 9 is a full cycle. Therefore, 108 times or 108 repeats of a particular mantra makes a complete cycle of the mantra in itself. I should also mention maybe that there are mantras which I do know and I do use, which I will not be teaching, simply because of the fact that I have learned those mantras from other people, and due to the fact that there is dharma and karma within teaching mantras and meditation, I would leave it up to those people who have been ordained in order to teach certain mantras and certain meditations to do so. Excuse me. I also invite, obviously, those people to join me in any one of the meditations and to be able to share their gifts, their abilities, their vibration, not just with the rest of the nation, but with the rest of the world. Simply because of having the whole point of actually being here on a social media is that to actually be able to go into what we already are, really, a global community. And to be honest, part of this pandemic is also to show us just that, the fact that we are a global community. The reason why this disease was able to travel so easily is because of the fact that we are all in and out of each other's countries, and therefore should be able to globalize ourselves better. Now, I know that there are several people out there who are actually against the idea of globalization. Personally speaking, I'm not. I'm not, simply because of the fact that we are one race. No matter which way you look at it, there is only one race, and that race is the human beings. Even though, according to tradition, I'm not sure as to how many actually deserve that particular term, but that's something that we will look into a little bit later, maybe. As I was saying, we are one race, we are one nation, if you like, simply spread in different continents, simply spread, and within that spreading, there is also the simple fact that, obviously, due to geographical location, different pigments were adopted by our skins, simply because of the fact that they were needed in order to survive in that particular ambient. Those ambients have changed. The planet has changed tremendously since the beginning of humankind, and it's now time that we realize just how much of a global community we really are. I think that what's on the outside, therefore, what we are seeing each day, the amount of support which has been given right across the globe, is a good demonstration of this. Now, I know that there are people who might be thinking this is due to the fact that, there are people feeling guilty. It's not. It has nothing to do with this. It's a simple realization that we are all alike, that we all need to go and build a better community so as we might be able to survive not only this pandemic, but whatever else is ahead of us, which will still come, should we say, to haunt us, to change us, hopefully to make us better people. So what do we do? Where do we start? Oh, let's start with a simple breathing exercise. And like I said, like I said earlier, one of the main thing is to be comfortable. Therefore, find yourself a very comfortable position. Sit however you're comfy. That could be sitting in the lotus position, half lotus position. You could be sitting on the floor. You could be sitting on your bed. You could be sitting anywhere. The bed is actually not suggested simply because of the fact that it can be, it can lead you to fall asleep quite easily, which is not something you want to be doing, obviously. But yes, whichever way or wherever you decide to sit, just make sure that you are sitting somewhere comfortably. As for your position, again, make it a comfortable one. As for your breathing, yes, I am a little bit nervous and therefore I'm not actually breathing properly. I'm actually breathing with the top of my lungs, which is something that I shouldn't be doing. I shouldn't be doing it simply because of the fact that it leads to that anxiety. Those of you who suffer from anxieties, those of you who have actually, to whom I've spoken to in private, who have suffered from anxiety in the past, know that when you are coming within that anxiety region, you're breathing a little bit like the description which I've received from asthma sufferers, tends to be all in the upper side of your chest, and by this is due to the fact that we are not allowing our breath, our energy to go any lower than where our brain is, and unfortunately for us, whether we realize it or not, as to whether we want to admit to it or not, our ego resides within our brain. Or rather not the actual brain itself, but the mind in itself, which is a part of the brain. So, like I said, let's start with a very simple exercise. Just simply find yourself in a comfortable position. I'm going to start a little bit of music, which hopefully will not overpower my voice, and then I shall lead you into the first of the meditations. Now, can you tell me as to whether this is too loud, or as to whether you can actually hear me still okay? If the music is not loud enough, please let me know and I will try and raise the volume. No, nobody's saying anything. Okay, so like I said, the position that you choose is whichever one you choose. It's okay. Choose Brian. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. So, like I said, the first meditation is something which I've entitled "A Walk in the Woods," and it is quite simply a very, very simple exercise. It helps us to understand our perspective. It helps us to understand the way that we see certain things and the way that we perceive certain things, which is not a bad thing at all. It simply helps us to understand ourselves right now. Now, During the meditation, my tone of voice will change slightly. It will become slightly softer, or at least I hope it will. And I will be allowing you, obviously, the time to go through the different stages and the different steps, so as you can actually follow right the way through. Now, what I will ask you to do, first and foremost, is to be aware of what you are observing. I will give you, obviously, a series of images. Keep those images in mind. Keep them present within yourself. Should you wish to, we will actually go and discuss all the various images that you have received, but I will give a full explanation at the end of the actual meditation as to what each one of those images represents. And in giving you that, I'm also giving you a way of interpreting what you have seen, which obviously I will give you a general guideline for after we finish as well. So, should we say, without further ado, I suppose, as I have been talking for 40 minutes now, and I think that everybody who is going to be here is pretty much here. I will proceed, obviously, with the first meditation. Like I said to you earlier, all of what is required is your attention. Try not to slide away with mind. If you should, don't worry. Obviously, the live feed will be available at a later date as well, so you will be able to follow it again. If you don't find it on the live feeds for some reason, just let me know. I will produce a video which I will put somewhere so as people can actually obtain it again. So like I said, find yourself a comfortable position and simply relax. Now, as I said to you earlier, there is a simple exercise which you might feel like a bit of an idiot whilst you're performing it the first time or two, but don't worry, we're all idiots anyway. No, I'm just kidding. The simple exercise is simply to release certain energies. Now, in order to do so, we simply find ourselves in a comfortable position. If you do choose a lotus position or this half lotus position, the same as what I do, please remember to keep your back as straight as possible and to be comfortable. Now, one of the other things that I should have mentioned earlier, which has just come back to mind now, is this. Whilst you are following the meditation, please remember to keep your mouth closed and breathe through your nose whenever possible. Also, whilst your mouth is shut, there is no need to keep it shut closed, as in for, to lock jaw. As a matter of fact, what you should be doing, it's quite the opposite. Your mouth should be closed, but your jaw can be slightly apart, but obviously by keeping your mouth shut. That puts the jaw into a comfortable position, and it makes it so as you're not actually distracted. Now, you will find that when you begin the different meditations, you will find that your body will play up. What do I mean? I mean aches and pains coming through your body. I mean different things happening, itches, stuff like that, which all goes to bring your attention to particular stuff, or rather to a particular part of your body, which is something that we can look at into another section, but it will actually be looked into further on the other live feed, which I intend upon doing, which will be run from the other page, not from this page, which is Reiki Path School, which will be doing, or which will be dealing with the healing side of it. Throughout those meditations, I will actually be running healing towards those people who specifically request it. Now, this means that even though the energy will be going out through the live feed, if you do not specifically request for that energy to come to you, it probably will not. Okay? This is simply because of the fact that even though I understand people's curiosity in wanting to watch what a healing session is, I have no wish nor intent to impose energy, which is an outside energy, onto anybody else. This has to do with guidelines, obviously, which I follow, but I will go into that further when I go and do that particular live feed. Like I was saying, so comfortable position, simply relax into your position, close your eyes, and to begin with I'm going to give you again this quick exercise, which is very, very brief, and it's very, very simple. We are going to use our breath in order to induce a heightened state of attention. And the way that we do that is by simply following a breathing pattern. This breathing pattern obviously is mechanical eventually, but it is there to help you. And it is something that you can actually use pretty much in any situation where you might find that you need to release some tension which has built up. So basically the exercise goes into simply closing your eyes and then inhale through your nose. So a big intake through your nose, and then slowly releasing through your mouth. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Now we go and reverse the thing, and we actually go and inhale through our mouth and exhale through our nose. So inhale through your mouth, exhale through your nose. Inhale through your mouth, exhale through your nose. Inhale through your mouth, exhale through your nose. The next part of the exercise is to do 3 very quick breaths, as if when you are within that part of you which is getting wound up, if you know what I mean. And all what you're doing is literally by breathing in and out quickly through your nose. This obviously brings that negative energy up to the surface, and by doing the next exercise, which is actually by breathing in and out through your teeth, you are actually finalizing that and bringing it completely to the surface. Now obviously we continue to breathe as deeply as possible, by inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the nose. Now, if you take any notice of what is actually happening to you right now, you will notice that, strangely enough, even though you've actually brought that anger to the surface, you feel much calmer. You feel much settled. You feel more grounded. This is obviously necessary in order for us to actually continue with our meditation. It is necessary for us to have that calm which needs to still be built inside us in order to be able to continue and find the vibration which most suits us. Simply because the vibration that each one of us has, like I said earlier, is different from one another. And therefore, each of us must find the vibration which is right for them. Continue to breathe deeply. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. Now, had you opened your eyes back up whilst I was talking, I'm suggesting you close your eyes again and simply follow the music and the sound of my voice. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. I want you to visualize yourself in an open space. No awareness of what is around you. Simply that you are in an open space. All around you is a yellow light. The yellow light begins to lift. And you find yourself standing, with your eyes closed, your hands united. In your hands is a leaf. Take notice of the leaf's shape. Take notice of its colour. Take notice of its texture. As you continue to breathe, you will find that your attention goes to the area which is surrounding you, and in particular, right in front of you, where you see a tree. Observe the tree. Is it near? Is it far? Is it big? Is it small? Is it naked? Is it full of leaves? What feeling does this tree give you? Continue to breathe slowly. In through your nose, out through your nose. Your awareness expands, and as it expands, It goes into the area which surrounds you. There are trees around you, but where are you? As you continue to breathe, take notice of what's around you. Take notice of the weather. Is it sunny? Is it rainy? Is it windy? If it's windy, in which direction does the wind come from? How are you dressed? Take your time to observe and continue to breathe. As you continue to breathe and you continue to observe, you notice that in front of you there is a walkway. Step into the walkway and commence your walk. Take notice of the walkway itself. It could be a road. It could be a path. How is it made? What is it made of? As you continue to walk on this path, you find various objects along the way. You may have spotted some grass. You may have spotted some earth. You could be hearing the calls of different animals, the chirp of different birds. Take notice of what's around you. As you continue to walk, on your left hand side, you find some water. Excuse me. With this water, where is it? How is it? Look well around you and continue to walk. You find a recipient of which you can collect the water. Take notice of the recipient. How is it? What material is it made from? Is it simple? Is it ornate? Continue to breathe slowly. In through the mouth, out through the nose. In through the nose, out through the nose. Gentle, deep breaths. As you continue to walk, you taste the water. How does it taste? How does it feel? As you continue to walk on your right hand side, you spot a key. Bend down, pick it up, observe the key. What material is it made from? Is it ornate? Is it a simple key? Continue to breathe. Put your key in your pocket and continue to walk. As you continue to walk, on the right hand side, you spot something, a bear. Observe the bear, its character, its look, how it makes you feel. Continue to walk. As you keep walking, you spot another animal come up on the right hand side. It could be the same animal, it might be a different animal. It may not even be an animal. It may simply be another creature. Take notice of this creature. Observe it. How is it? Where is it? Why is it here? And continue upon your walk. As you continue to walk, in the distance, you spot a wall. As you come closer, you can see its material, its height. Can you see over the wall? Can you not? How's my wall made? Whenever you're ready, continue breathing slowly. And open your eyes. It may take you a second or so to just get a little bit reorganized. Don't worry. Take your time. Okay, so I hope everybody was able to follow that meditation. It is quite a simple one, and in reality is actually a simple psychological evaluation. And the way it works is very, very simple. So first of all, we were looking at the leaf The yellow, by the way, it's the yellow light to begin with was simply to create a distancing between your current position and your natural state, if you like. And as we look into the leaf in itself is actually how we see our lives at the moment. So if our leaf was big, it's probably because the fact that we still have a long life ahead. This is not to say that somebody who got a small leaf is going to have a short life, don't get me wrong. Simply because of the fact that short leaf could have been an evergreen, and an evergreen is forever young, obviously. Then your attention was shifted to the tree. The tree is actually the tree of life, and therefore how we see life, how we perceive life. If your tree was tall, standing above all else, it's simply a question of you put yourself above everybody else. If your tree is naked, without any leaves, it's simply your perspective upon life right now. You see no future. If your tree is an evergreen, then life is forever, as the word says, evergreen. So, as you move on from there, you look at your clothing. First the weather. The weather goes to look at the outside influences. That which is given from the outside, so how we are influenced by the outside. If the wind was strong, then the influence from the outside was strong. If the wind tickled you, then obviously the outside is tickling you, it's inspiring you. And if the wind was just medium, or if there was no wind, obviously if the wind is medium, you are influenced just as much as everybody else is. If there is no wind, you feel no influence from the outside. It's quite simple, really. The path in itself is actually quite important as well. The path that we are looking at is the path that we had chosen for ourselves. So how that path was formed is actually quite important to us. For example, some of you might have seen an alleyway, a dirt track. If what you spotted was a dirt track, then yours is quite a natural path at the moment. If you saw something a little bit more elaborate, maybe with stones on it, like pebbles, then it's something that needs to be worked upon. If your path is a road, a tarmac road, then even though it might appear to be smooth, it's actually governed by others and not by you. The next was the water. The water represents our emotions. Now, you would have seen anything from a puddle to a great lake, if not even the sea. That's cool. It's perfectly fine. Not everybody is aware of their emotions. Not everybody is in tune with their emotions. In today's society, especially in this very moment, it's probably very difficult to be so. But, all the same, they are important. They govern us. The next recipient was the recipient. The next item was the recipient. And the recipient is your heart. Represent your heart. And obviously it's a recipient, therefore it could be made of any material, of any form, any shape. Obviously, maybe the bigger the heart, the bigger the recipient, the more precious the heart, the more precious the material. Do not misunderstand once again. A simple wooden bowl, a simple wooden cup is what somebody quite famous would have used at that Last Supper. So don't be put off by what you receive. It simply is what it is. The next object that you saw would have been a key. Now, the key represents our work, what we do for a living, how we earn our living. The more elaborate the key, the more fanciful, the more that particular job, work that we do is important, to us at least anyway. In certain cases, you will have found some very special keys. That simply means you have a very special place, a very special role. Next was the bear. The bear represents our physical strength, our moral strength, our inner strength. So you could have seen anything from a teddy bear to a cub to a cute cuddly bear to the fiercest and meanest grizzly bear you can imagine. Again, it depends as to what kind of strength you have behind you, within you. The next stage was the wolf. Now, some of you will have been able to see over the wall, some of you not. But what is that wall? The wall is simply put the way that we see death. The taller the wall, the less likely we are to see what's on the other side. The sturdier the wall, the more is our preconception of death's final stage. Obviously, if your wall is low down, and if it's simply even a garden fence, then the way you view your life and your afterlife is quite different. It's quite opposite. So I hope that this gives you some idea as to what inside some of the meditations that we will be looking at will be bringing around, and I hope that it helps you in some way. Now, if any of you have had problems in following this, please do let me know. I hope that there was no breakages in the video or in the quality of the sound, and that you managed to go into the whole perspective properly. Now, I actually called this to be for an hour and a half, and we still have a quarter of an hour. Is there anybody out there who would like to share their experience or to ask for any particular significance of something they might have seen, even something that may not have been induced, as in for an imaging, some imaging of an object, of an animal, of anything else that may have appeared during your meditation. Obviously, if you feel like sharing, by all means, please do so. I'd be most interested in hearing your opinions and your what's happened with you sort of thing during this time. Whilst people are typing up and they're looking at maybe commenting or sharing their experience with us, why is this exercise so important? In my experience, there is something that is fundamental to our well-being, and that is the the way that we feel, the way that we perceive things, it's very important. It's, a time like this, I think, puts us on edge even more so. Now, the whole concept behind doing this was simply the want to help you to relax. As I said at the beginning of this, the whole concept of this is to bring us to a state of well-being. And a state of well-being is not something which is on the outside, in spite of what people might think. It is something that comes from within us. And it is important that we achieve that sense of well-being for ourselves. Our sense of well-being is the core of what will keep us sane, or what will keep us from doing stupid things. Now, I hope that none of you have done, but even things like panic buying. Yes, I understand that you want to have supplies, but please be aware of the fact that there are other people out there. There are people who are probably in greater need than you. I said to you earlier, there are no difference between people. There is no difference whatsoever between people. However, some people are entitled to be prioritized. And those people are those people who are not doing as well as what we are. In those, I include those people who suffer from disabilities which impedes them from going out. People who have been virtually banned from going out for a long time, since the beginning of this, like our old age pensioners. Obviously, for those of you who know me, know that my mum is quite old as well. And it's obviously with her in my mind then I appeal to you, but not just for her. There are some of you among my friends who are disabled. There are some of you who come from, shall we say, less agreed groups, parts of society. Society is based upon socializing, and to be social, we need to be calm. We need to be aware of ourselves, of our surroundings, of everything which is going on. and still maintain calm. Calm is what gives us the ability, the possibility to overcome the greatest things, be that anxiety, be that fear, be that whatever it may be. If it stopped you, in a way you might say, yes, it's meant to. But at the same time, sorry, I was distracted again by reading one of the comments. I need to address the comments afterwards and not read them as I go along right now. What I was saying is this, our own well-being, it's a very, very important side of things, and it is part of one of those things that will keep us together socially. Also, information is going to keep you safe. Now, please, I know that my next door neighbours, who up until yesterday didn't know nothing about anything, has just become a world leader in sociology, in human rights, in whatever. Please, let's get our information from a right front and reason with it rather than just repeat it. The advice which is out there is good, is what has kept the rest of the world safe. I have some very, very dear people who I love very, very deeply outside of this country, outside of this house. It's important that you stay away, that you stay well. It is important that you all maintain a correct perspective. And by correct, I simply mean one of peace. I do not think that this will be a short journey. By the figures, by what I have been reading on the various government agency websites, it could be a long affair. Meditation will help you. Up to you what you do with it. Let's just remember one thing, guys. How this thing came about. Now, I'm referring to different conspiracy theories and those who choose to blame or not blame whoever for what's happening, as to whether this was induced by man or by nature. Please remember that we are all going through it. Please remember that this means that we should all be going through it. It's not what you do that counts, it's what you don't do sometimes that counts. Especially when you could have. Staying at home, staying safe, not acting stupid. And by not acting stupid, I simply mean not putting others in danger. That is what is going to make us survive this thing. Keep your minds clear, keep your body healthy, keep yourselves alive, safe and well.